Here's the minimum payment lie that's sending people to court. Now, imagine this. The lawsuit's for about $3,800. It's not for a house. It's not for a card. It's for a credit card balance. The type of balance that used to feel normal, but now it's a court date. Now, 75% of these debt collection lawsuits are for less than $4,000. The number that used to buy a solid used car is now enough to get you served papers. And the people getting sued are not just the ones we pretend are broke. Half of them earn at least 300% of the federal poverty level. So for a family of four, that's about $100,000 a year. Now, $100,000 a year, that used to feel like solid ground, but now it's the new starting line for a collection agency. Now, those numbers, they come from court records across multiple states and recent Federal Reserve data on household debt. And they destroy the comforting idea that these lawsuits only hit people with no income. Credit card balances became America's new emergency fund. And that is the deal millions of households ended up accepting. You don't have cash just sitting in the bank. We all have plastic. So if something breaks, the fridge dies, the tire blows, or the kids need something, you end up swiping that plastic credit card. And the minimum payment, it shows up, you pay it, life continues, except that minimum payment is like a treadmill with cup holders. It keeps you moving so you do not notice you are still in the exact same place. So let's look at a $10,000 balance on 22%. Run the payoff estimate using only that minimum payment. And what you're going to find is it stretches beyond 20 years. And you're going to pay more than the original balance again in interest. So that's double the money. 2 decades of your life. And that math only works if you never swipe the card again. And we both know how realistic that is. The payment looked friendly, but the contract, it's just not. Now, credit card debt just hit $1.25 trillion. It's a new record. Again, only 37% of accounts are paid in full each month, which means the vast majority are carrying balances and calling the minimum progress. People are no longer using credit cards only to buy things. They are using them to bridge the distance between the paycheck and normal life. Then they respond to the balance by paying the minimum, moving the debt to another card, and postponing other bills, or avoid the collection notice entirely. So the card stopped being a payment method. It became the household's emergency account. Now, the credit card started as a spare tire, but now households are trying to drive it on every day. So when you finally cannot make that minimum, the clock, it starts ticking. And miss enough payments and the account goes delinquent. And eventually, the bank charges it off. Now, some banks, they keep collecting. Some hire outside collectors. And others sell the account in a portfolio of old debt. Now, debt buyers purchase large portfolios of old debt at a deep discount. They do not need every account to pay in full. They just need enough people to pay, settle, or just lose in court to make the entire portfolio profitable. So your $3,800 balance feels huge when it's yours, but to them, it's one line in a warehouse full of unpaid invoices. So let's just wait a second for a moment here, because the bank decided the debt was not worth chasing. So it sold the account at a discount. But the company that bought it is now telling you every dollar is sacred. Apparently, the debt loses value only when they buy it. So when you owe it, suddenly it's a collector's item. The debt buyer bought the account like a box of returned merchandise, then sent you a bill as though every item were still brand new. And the strangest part is that the balance may have already changed hands more than just once. The bank has its records, the debt buyer has a spreadsheet, a collection law firm may have another version, and you are expected to recognize the account from a company name you've never even seen before. And that's where people make this dangerous assumption. They think, I never borrowed money from this company, so it can't be real. And that reaction, it actually makes perfect sense. I mean, you bought something with a recognizable credit card. You did not walk into a store called Portfolio Recovery Warehouse and finance a washing machine. But the unfamiliar name does not make the court papers disappear. And that's why the validation notice matters. Because before you agree that the balance is yours, check the original creditor, the account information, the amount claimed, and whether the collector has identified the debt correctly. Because a debt buyer can purchase a portfolio at a discount, but it cannot purchase the right to skip that paperwork. And when a balance has traveled through enough spreadsheets, the first thing I would verify is whether everybody is still talking about the same debt. Because once a balance has passed through 3 companies and 4 spreadsheets, checking the paperwork is not being difficult. It's making sure everybody brought the same debt to court. Now, the calls start, then the letters, and a lot of people, they ignore this stuff. You borrowed from a bank, you recognize now a company with a name like Consolidated Recovery Portfolio number 7 is asking for money. So of course it's going to look suspicious. It sounds less like a company, more like a Wi-Fi password, but ignoring it is exactly how the process becomes dangerous. Now, around 70% of these cases end in default judgments. Not because the collector proved every detail in some dramatic court battle, but because nobody answered. The lawsuit wins by attendance. A default judgment is the financial version of losing a game because your team never came onto the field. And that is when the real tools come out here. Wage garnishment, bank account freeze, liens. And this is where the envelope changes personalities. Yesterday, it was asking for a payment. Today, it's introducing itself to your paycheck. The collection letter looks less like junk mail right up until it starts giving instructions to your paycheck. Now, Missouri lawsuits doubled in 2019, or since 2019 at least, and it's up to more than 121,000. Texas hit roughly 515,000 after a 77% jump. And at that point, this is not a collection department. It's a court filing business with a payment portal. And this is not just a few bad apples that we're talking about. This is a debt collection coming back with bigger court calendars. The old promise was that the debt was temporary. You borrow, you recover, you pay it down. The new math, though, it ends up being different. And a lot of households never reach a zero balance. They pay a little after a tax refund or over time. And a new expense shows up. And then the balance rebuilds again. And old debt gets replaced with new debt. And the treadmill, it just changes speed. So the minimum payment is not a ladder out of debt. It is a waiting room with an interest charge. So before anybody files anything, there are 3 things I would check. Open your credit card, open the bank app, find the payoff calculator. Look at the months and the total interest if you only pay the minimum. And that's the real cost of treating the card like an emergency fund. The payoff calculator is the expiration date. But on the minimum payment illusion, that's where the friendly monthly number finally shows you how long it plans to live with you. Then you look at the total interest and realize part of the next year's paycheck already belongs to a purchase you barely even remember. And if the call or letter start, find the validation notice. It has to tell you who owns the debt, now that the exact amount they claim. And a lot of people never open because the name on the envelope is not the bank they remember. This is where you find out whether the bank still owns the account, whether an outside company is collecting it, or whether a debt buyer decided your $3,800 balance was worth pursuing. Because if court papers arrive, find the response deadline printed on the summons. Circle it. Missing that date is how default judgments happen. And 70% of these cases end that way. So the day you find out a judgment already exists is the day the paycheck becomes the next target. The minimum payment looked normal because it kept the account open and the phone quiet. But keeping the account quiet is not the same as shrinking the debt. And the baseline here is simple. If the minimum payment cannot produce a realistic payoff date, then it is not a repayment plan. It's a delay. And delays become dangerous when the next date belongs to a courtroom. And that's why we check the bill after the promise.